What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and now co-host of Monthly Conversations for Canadian Fathers, hosted by Dad Central, which is Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. And it's Saturday afternoon Eastern Time, Saturday morning Eastern Time on May 2nd. And very blessed and highly favored to have LeRon Barton back in the house. Have not heard from him in a minute. And for those who have seen LeRon on the Dr. Vi show before, you'll notice he has a little bit of a change.
Yeah, it's crazy. 6 weeks in, man, like, really enjoying life, plus I have hair now. So
like
it's
LeRon, but I told LeRon, like, I shave every day.
man, that's a lot of maintenance, but but Dr. Bob, you are a great looking guy, so duh, right?
You know what? Right back at you. Respect.
thank
You're a handsome guy, and I know
thank you so much, sir.
one other person that thinks that your fiance. So
Oh,
that at least
absolutely.
another, you know.
You don't
But
want.
Laurent, it's been a minute since you've been back on the Dr. Vibe show, and what's been going on with yourself recently? Haven't chatted.
Man, so I've been writing. I've been doing a lot more speaking. I've been really trying to write stuff that's going to be much more impactful, much more deliberate. So I've been sort of slowed down on the quantity and really sort of focusing on on the quality. I'm sorry. Um, Might as well announce it now. I'm doing another TEDx.
Oh,
Word,
what?
word, man, word. Yeah, man. Like, I'm really, to be honest with you, Dr. Vibe, like, I've always wanted to do another one, because it's like, there's just more stuff that I want to talk about. But yeah, I was asked to do another one. Thank you so much, man. I'll reveal the details later, but, yeah, no, I'm super stoked. Just to be able to do it again, to get on that stage. I mean, it's such a big responsibility, and it's one of, like, doing, like, the first one was one of the biggest goals of my life, right? And it changed my life. And so one thing that my lady always said was, like, LeRon, I want you to remain present, because this will never, because this will be gone. You'll be in it, it'll be gone. And so to come back and to do it again, it's okay. So I know what to expect, but at the same time, like, every time is a different time. I mean, my favorite city in the entire world is Barcelona, and it'll never, like, the first time that I'll never get that first experience back again. But I can go there as a different person with a different set of eyes, and sort of see other things. And so, I'm really excited about that.
Well, you know what? I'm truly, truly, truly happy for you, man.
Thank you, man.
Because, and I've said this periodically when LeRon is on, we're having conversation together, because we don't interview, we do
Yeah, man.
conversations.
We
And
just talk.
yeah, I'm one of the people that can say, at least professionally, I knew LeRon when.
Listen, you guys, man, like, I'll tell you, like, I believe Dr. Bob and I, we met off of the Good Men Project. He liked an article of mine. We came, like, got a chance to come on his show. We built a rapport from there, and then I started to do his weekly show. It was called What Time Is It? It was just sort of a roundtable show of black men. I mean, the first time I did that show, I was so nervous, and it's like, yo, like, I mean, I was like, okay, and like, I'm talking with other men who are just so intelligent, so just wealth of knowledge, and just being able to grow and learn. I mean, it's been a wonderful experience. And so, Dr. Bob has been one of those people who's been really influential in my career, not only growing as a writer, but just, growing as a black man. And so, I want to say thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Dude, like, I never take it for granted. Like, I know that sometimes my participation has been up, sometimes it's been down, but you know, but like that's life. But just now within the past year or two, realizing that how blessed and how fortunate I am to be on a platform to have people listen to me and to be like, okay, I agree with him, or be like, yo, this kid doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's still like, so to everybody, when you're on a podcast, always treat it as if this is the last one, or always treat it as this is the one that's going to twist into something. You dig? Because you never want to half-ass it. And there's been times that I've half-assed it, and I've noticed you know, and it's just hubris. And so I would like to say to everybody, when you get a chance to speak, just like go all in, man, like 100%.
You know, a number of points. We could just chat about this for the rest of our
Right.
time, but I'll just add to what LeRon is saying, that uh, I'm very humbled that individuals like LeRon, and I just accept them where they're at. So when LeRon
Absolutely.
calls, like LeRon and I hadn't spoken for a few weeks, at least maybe a
Right.
month,
Yeah. Weeks.
and if LeRon, we just started chopping. I could have said, like, what's going on with you, man? You're not calling, but I just accept them where they're at. And there are times when I've had the digital roundtables, whether video wise or audio wise, sometimes the brothers don't agree, but they respect each other's opinions.
Absolutely. Oh man, there's been so you know, I was listening to this, man, like there's been a lot of times like where guys will say something, it's just like, and we'll kind of get into it, but like it may flare up, but then it cools down into, you know, as you said, it goes to that mutual respect, you know.
Oh yeah, like I one that comes to my head is, it was a few months ago. You and Flood, the drummer from Philadelphia, were
Yeah,
at each other.
yeah, that's
But you know what? Respectfully done.
absolutely. Listen,
And
like
you know,
Flood is a smart guy, man.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, Flood, another gentleman, I knew him
Right,
when he was nervous to get
right.
on on a podcast. Then we started doing some together. Then he did a stint at the All Black News radio
Wow,
station
that's awesome. Shout
in
out to
Philadelphia.
Flood, man.
Now he is working at the NPR affiliate in Philadelphia.
Oh, word. See, man, brothers is blowing up, man. Like
Right.
that's
So I look at both of you as my young guns,
young
right?
balls, run
Yeah,
on.
you're young guns, and you're
Yeah,
making it happen. So really happy. And even yesterday, when myself and LeRon were communicating through
right,
direct message through Twitter, he was saying, "When are you gonna, like, what's going on with? Do you know what time it is?" I said, "Okay, I gotta reach out to these guys,
right,
especially now. No one's doing a lot, so that is we're working on to get that even
right.
periodically. If they want to do it once a month, because even the gentleman like Melvin Lars is like blowing up on the
Yeah,
digital.
Melvin is just like took off. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he
yeah. So
Melvin.
LaRon's done podcasting stuff. So the drummer's done podcasts, and both of them have moved on to higher licks. And
Right.
put the word out to Melvin Lars. If you could subscribe to Get Vocal, some of the people, no, everyone he's bringing on is like serious. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
check out his
yeah.
conversation.
No, you know, Melvin's the kind of guy like where you know you give him a platform, you give him a chance, and like he just kind of takes that and he sort of builds on it. Like you know, Melvin's a very ambitious guy, man. And so this is what I say, like, you know, whenever you're on a platform, you know, just sort of that's another step. You dig? Like, I mean, I don't even know how many times I've even been on your show, but it's just that it could be so like it's something that I talk about now. It's called earned confidence, right? Where it's like, you know, when you do something once, you do it twice, and you start to feel like, oh, okay, you know, I can do it again, and I can do it again, and it just sort of builds on it sort of builds on itself, and you know, Melvin's a good example of that. He was like, look, you know what, I can do a podcast, and so. You know, Melvin messages me every time he has an episode, and I like Melvin, man. He's a real positive guy, very down to earth, and just very honest. And I feel like that's not common. You dig?
No,
Like it's not common at all.
agreed. Well, let's cut it. Let's get to
Yes,
the main
sir.
conversation topic, because people have said, are these guys ever gonna get to the
yeah.
conversation?
No, reminiscing, right?
Yeah, we're reminiscing and we keep on doing it. Let's talk about the C word.
Yeah. Oh,
What's been going down? Like, what has been going down with you personally, and what are you seeing around you
you know,
about the C word?
what's interesting. So, life is all about things that you don't see coming, right? And I mean, I'm convinced of that. And so the COVID-19, it was one of those things where it just was sort of a, as I said, like my word today is probably gonna be gradual, but it was just a slow, gradual thing, and my lady and I, every day, we would wake up and see, okay, this number of infections, this place has a lot of infections, and we would go to bed, and I mean, it was the main conversation, and it's been like that for a while. The COVID-19 epidemic, pandemic, however you want to label it, it's really changed life. Period. I mean, I was telling Michelle, I said, you know, it's now pre and post coronavirus. I mean, because everything that happened before, we don't even really acknowledge it anymore. I mean, it's all about what is, like every day is truly a new day, right? So like, how has it affected today? How many people have been infected? What industries have been impacted? What can we not do? What are we restricted from doing? What can we do safely? So, and being that I do work in the healthcare industry, it's really fascinating to see how a lot of the precautions that we're now taking. Like, I don't go out the house without a mask and gloves on. Like, I just, and I've been living this way for just like right when the shelter in place started. So I feel like for me, I want to give myself the very best chance to not contract this disease. So, that means, I stopped drinking. Like I've just been, I mean, since it attacks people that have compromised immune systems, why not give yourself the best chance to avoid it? So, for a minute, Dr. Vibe, when I was immersing myself in the news coverage, I started to panic. I actually, was getting like a little fearful because again, you just don't know what's going to happen. And so I guess just so by the grace of God, he pulled me away gradually from the news and from the news cycle and from reading about it. And so that was a form of self-care, me just not being so preoccupied with it. But how can you not though? But there's so many points to touch on this though.
Okay, so and I appreciate you being open and transparent. I know it's an overused word, but just stay open.
Right,
You know,
absolutely.
open yourself up. Before we go any further, we just want to shout out to two friends of the Dr. Vibe Show. One you do know, Galen Bingham says hello.
What's going on, Galen? Dude,
Yeah,
it's been too
and
long, man.
yeah, and also a great supporter of the Dr. Vibe Show, Dr. Tachi, who hosts one of my mainstays when it comes to online broadcasting. She hosts Mediascope, the best in media, tech, and pop culture.
Okay.
It's on Wednesday afternoons, 5 p.m. Eastern time on, why am I going? Instagram Live, sorry. And 6
Hello,
p.m.
Dr. Tachi.
Yeah, and 6 p.m. Eastern time on Facebook Live, Periscope, WJMS Radio, and LinkedIn Live. I hope I got everything covered there. And Galen says we should, I guess in our earlier conversation, we should each have the confidence to own and defend our points of view. And I think that
100%.
refers to the conversations that we've had on Do You Know What Time It Is and also other platforms.
100%. I think that when you do engage with people, that sort of becomes practice, and so yeah, I mean, it's you, to use this analogy, Dr. Bob. a boxer doesn't get better by just shadow boxing, right? A boxer becomes more apt by sort of I guess fighting other people. What do you call, like, in training, sparring? you know, a fighter sharpens his or her skills by sparring and putting themselves in real life real life situations where they have to attack and defend. So.
Well, and I see now Galen has jumped over to Get Vocal, and he's watching us live on Get Vocal. First it was Facebook Live, now Get Vocal. And Galen, the mic is open if you want to jump into the conversation. As always, we make space for you, my brother. There is space, and we make space
Absolutely.
for you. And we don't got a lot of time,
Sure.
so I want to really get down to it. So, your reflections on the sea and its effect on Black America.
First off, I mean, economically, this has really crippled America. And that old saying, Dr. Bob, when America catches the cold, Black folks catch pneumonia. I think obviously that a lot of Black people, we work in the service industry, we work in manufacturing jobs, a lot of labor jobs, and because of COVID-19, shelter in place has been enacted to a lot of cities and states, and that's caused those people to be laid off. It's also caused people to be furloughed, and or the positions they've just been eliminated. Also, more importantly for me is the medical aspect of COVID-19. Throughout our history in America, Black people have had substandard medical treatment. And if you look at places like Louisiana, and states like that where they're heavily populated with Black folks, a lot of Black people, we have what's the term for it? Or we have pre-existing conditions because the fact that we don't have access to medical care, excuse me, like a lot of other races may have. And because we have pre-existing conditions, because we're not going to the doctor, whether it be we don't have access, or we can't afford it. I mean, or just our inability to trust the medical system today. COVID-19 may sort of impact us. And I'm really happy that you brought that up, because a lot of our pundits, unfortunately, a lot of Black folks who have a microphone, who are very prominent, they have been saying, oh, it's just because we're staying outside, we're smoking a blunt, we're drinking. And that's just not true. Like, that's very lazy and that's very cowardly. Fact is that if you look on the news, for example, we can look at the Michigan protest. There's rarely, if any, Black folks out there. Those folks have no mask on, right? If you look at the beaches in Florida, the protests of the beaches in Southern California, those are not Black folks there. Matter of fact, I'll take it a bit further. I don't see any Latino folks there. I don't see any Asian folks there, but I do see white people there. But because of these pundits' cowardly antics, they're not calling that out. So it's funny how it reminds me of what Dr. Martin Luther King said a long time ago. And this quote is so apropos. He said, if you have 10 people, nine white people and one Black person, everybody will say, look at that Black guy. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like that. It bothers me, and I'm not going to name him who has been sort of framing this, but it's very sad, and it just goes to show you, like, these men and women, they're just cowards. So, and the third point that I want to make, and this is something that I've been reading and that I've been hearing about a lot, is that a lot of Black men are sort of resistant to wearing the mask because we will be profiled. I mean, look, it's just a fact of life. being a black man in America, you're already going to be looked at as being the enemy. The bigger you are, the darker you are, that sort of increases, right? And so the fact that we could be wearing a mask, it just makes their sort of their senses heighten up, because we are historically looked at as criminals. So I mean, it's one of those things, Dr. Vibe, where it's like the system of racism, white supremacy. It's always going to target us, whether in pandemic or not. It's just that because we're under a pandemic, these certain situations are heightened. You know?
Okay. I just want to add on to that. And I want to also get, when I think about this, I believe I mentioned this when we were discussing this offline. This is a generational effect in the world,
Sure.
because I don't think we may have another time in the world where an event affects every
Right.
person directly or indirectly.
Right.
And one of the biggest concerns is that in some ways, we're talking about Black America here, even though I live in Canada.
Sure.
I speak to a number of Black Americans. Many Black Americans, and I'm going to use a reference to Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner.
Sure.
So hopefully some people know that there are a lot of times the coyote was just hanging on a cliff by his nails. And I just take a look at the sea thing coming and just hitting the coyote, and a lot of Black Americans are just going to slip right down that cliff.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, one thing about this pandemic, Dr. Vibe, is that a lot of these industries that Black folks worked in, they're not coming back, man. Those jobs are,
there you go.
They're done. I mean, so in San Francisco, a lot of restaurants they just can't afford to resume operations when the shelter in place is lifted. So I mean, this is going to have a catastrophic effect on housing, gentrification, just employment. I mean, school. It's it's interesting, because if you are a single parent, you're already concerned with being an attentive parent to your child, right? And you also have to work to provide. Well, if your job has been eliminated or been put on hold, excuse me, and also you have to be this de facto teacher, it just creates a much more tense environment. I mean, I can't imagine what parents are going through today. And if I may add on something else, Dr. Vibe, one of the things that I've been concerned about, so for those who don't know, I teach a creative writing course at the San Francisco County Jail, and I've been doing that. Yeah,
This is a whole other conversation. Why do you have to drop that bomb now? We got limited time.
Well, I mean, like, I say that to say that like one of my concerns is my students inside. I know that Rikers Island, they have been reporting many incidents of infections of the coronavirus. So it also kind of shines a light on mass incarceration. What group of people are more affected with mass incarceration? Black people, specifically Black men. For those who don't know, there's about for every 100,000 people incarcerated, 8,000 of them are Black men in the United States alone. So you have to think about, we are very susceptible to contracting the coronavirus, because for some reason, people who are incarcerated, they're not thought of as human. They're just thought of as just, oh well, they made their mistake. They're they're the deplorables. They're not worthy. And so it concerns me that we haven't that there has not been a push to to at least release nonviolent offenders in mass.
Yeah, my mind is always thinking.
Right.
There's so many things that are going on in my head right now because I'm thinking one thing. I I believe I should host an online conversation talking about blacks and COVID-19 present and future.
Right.
Also, I had two corrections advocates based in Toronto on last week. Wow, that was a powerful
Really?
conversation.
I'll have
It
to check
was,
that
and
out.
I'll send
Please
you the
do.
link. It was really powerful. And three, that this is, I don't know if Black Americans and maybe blacks in general are thinking this is serious, man. Like this is a generational
Yeah.
thing.
No.
Like, and one other thing too, and I don't know if I'm hoping Galen will come in. One of the things that Galen does is Galen operates a retail store,
Right.
and he can maybe give some perspective on how it's affecting his business. One
Yeah.
of the things he does, but yeah, again, Galen, if you want to come in, great. If not, but it's just making me think because I listened to a program. Oh, here we
Hey,
go.
what's up, Galen?
Yo, what's going on, guys?
How you feel?
Fantastic.
Always a pleasure, Galen.
Dude,
Good
so,
stuff.
like, I'm gonna have to hook up my microphone, like the next time because, like, y'all brothers, man, y'all making me look like wild and inadequate for, you know what I mean?
Man, I'll tell you, man, this thing is like my golf game, man. I can't control my talent, but I can at least look the part.
Oh boy.
For those who do not know, another great friend of the Dr. Vibe family. It's a family, not the show, it's a family. Galen Bingham, great. I don't like to say an executive coach. I don't know how
Speaker,
to
man,
brand him anymore. But just put it a great coaching strategist. I think that's maybe I hope he lets me away with that. But Galen, always a pleasure. How are things in St. Louis? And please share your perspectives of some of the things we've been discussing because I know you have great thought process.
Hey, Galen, really quick, like how? So I have my folks in Kansas City, and they kind of tell me what's going on and just like the mood of folks down there. How are people in St. Louis sort of dealing with the coronavirus?
Yeah, I think everything that I've heard you guys talk about is consistent, not only in St. Louis, but around the world. I think it's just consistent. I mean, everyone's kind of in this wait and see period. I think we're starting to take it more and more seriously. I think that everything that I heard you say, LeRon, about how when the U.S. catches a cold, black folks, get pneumonia.
Right.
Absolutely true with this. And I think I even saw a statistic that said that 70% of all the deaths that have occurred, according to this, were African Americans. Right. Like it's not.
Wow.
And there was initially this thought that black folks couldn't get it. Well, black folks
Right,
can not
exactly,
only get it, but they can die from it. And we're most of the people that's dying from it. So yeah, I mean that's my short answer on that. And one of the things I just really encourage a lot of my clients, my coaching clients, and that I would just encourage people to do in general is once you've identified the problem, there's no need to fortify your identification of the problem. Let's move to what are you going to do because of it, right?
Right.
So we already know this situation, and LeRon, you said it perfectly that many of those jobs that black folks tend to have, those jobs are going away or they're changing. And so they've got a couple different choices. We can sit back and lament about how things used to be in the good old days and how terrible it is that they're going away. Or you can pivot and say, okay, what am I going to do now?
Right, exactly.
Not only to make money now, but to set myself up so that when something like this happens again, I'm in a better position. Because if we don't address that, if we don't think about how do we pivot from this?
It's all about the pivot, man.
It's going, we're going to go through the exact same thing. I think they said that there more people are going to die from the second wave.
Wow.
Of this
thing, second wave
that died from than those who died from the first wave. And so when the second wave comes, what's going to be our pivot? Right?
What's going to be left?
Say that again.
Right? What's going to be
Yeah.
left?
No. I mean, this is going to change the landscape.
Go ahead. Yeah, and it's just making me think here, gentlemen, that I'm not hearing anything from quote Black leadership on unquote on how to manage and bring the like future thoughts in this right now. I'm not hearing anything from quote Black leadership unquote. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
No, man. Like they're too busy trying to shield for Biden, man. I mean, like. I mean,
I knew something would hit.
I mean, yeah, like for real. I mean, it's like there's really like no. I guess there's no realistic sort of approach to sort of to how to help Black folks moving forward. I mean, I've been a proponent for reparations for quite some time, and I feel like that more than ever, this needs to be a conversation because again, it's just like what Galen said, like those jobs are not coming back. And so, if we don't, if we can't pivot, then I mean, we're just gonna be lost in the sauce, man. I mean, there has to be some sort of assistance given.
Well, I'm just looking at that. Is it how many Americans have filed for unemployment? Is it close to 30 million?
I thought it was Galen. Like I thought I saw something like 3 point. Well, I think that was maybe like weekly, like 3.8. Maybe.
Yeah, the last number I heard was 6.5 million.
Wow.
The last number I
heard. Total.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think it's more than that, but don't quote me. But my question is, I'd be very interested to know what percentage of that is Black and visible minority or.
Well, so San Francisco, so pre-corona, right? San Francisco had 53% of all Black men were unemployed in San Francisco, right?
What?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What?
Over 53%. Many of the homeless here are Black men. Right. So I mean that's another side of the game, right? Is like, so we have so many homeless that are Black men that could be susceptible to the coronavirus. So I mean, how do we, I mean, it's like, if we can't put them in jail because the jails are starting to become a breeding ground for it. So I think Mayor London Breed, she's trying to put a lot of people in hotels, but I don't know logistically how that's happening. But I mean, San Francisco's just a different animal. Like it's just, yeah.
I just want to update you both. So I just went online here that the U.S. jobless rate claims the U.S. weekly jobless rate hits 3.8 million, topping more than 30 million over the last.
That's incredible. Weeks. 30 million people without a job.
So 30 million people in the United States have lost their job over the last 6 weeks.
Wow.
Hey, let me talk a little bit about that, because it sounds like a great opportunity for my favorite mantra, and that's that every success and every failure begins and ends with leadership. So, and you guys talked about and asked the question, where is Black leadership on this topic? And I'm going to suggest that your audience is looking at the Black leadership on this topic. And that's not to necessarily say that we're the only Black leaders, but we have to take responsibility for what we are going to pivot to in our individual lives. If we're waiting on someone else to tell us or to, say, LeRon, this is what you need to do in order to be successful, that's not going to happen. It is not coming. No one is going to sit here and say, Galen, these are the 4 steps you should take in order to make sure that your family is in the best possible position. The government is really only focused on getting the economy going again, right? They really don't care whether or not my life is in jeopardy, whether or not my family's long-term security is in jeopardy. They're concerned right now about the economy.
Absolutely.
I've got to make a decision as to what I pivot to, if I pivot, and what I'm going to do to take care of myself, not only in the short term, but in the long term. So,
Right.
for instance, let me give you some very tangible examples of what I mean by pivoting.
Sure.
And I've said this about 45 a lot in the past, that this administration is incredibly obvious, right? It's very, very easy to see what's going to come next. And therefore, how can you identify what that next is and get there first, own the space so that they've got to buy it from you? That's what by pivoting.
Sure.
So
Right.
knowing that there is a second wave coming, and knowing that we weren't prepared for the first wave, what are some things that were needed in this first wave that were in short supply, high demand, and they couldn't find enough of it?
Oh
Right?
man.
How can you get there first
Right.
on the field so that people have to buy from you? Right?
Right.
That's the kind of thinking that I think everyone needs to do. Is it a case where I don't anticipate that anytime in the next 9 to 12 months, there's ever going to be a period where there's not going to be someone looking for some sort of mouth covering or face protector?
Right.
Is there a way to own that space, get there
So
first, own the
capitalize on
space,
it.
so people can, right? So it's that kind of thinking, I believe, that is going to be the salvation of any group of people. I don't think that there's ever going to be a Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or one person that everyone says
Right.
this is the person you should be listening to because
Right.
he
Exactly.
represents your
No,
best interest. I think,
I agree with that.
yeah, I think the saviors we were looking for are are uh, are standing in the mirror.
Well, I mean,
Well,
I believe that that we also, I mean, like the government has a tremendous responsibility to help people. I mean, again, man, like we're to quote Yvette Carnell, political commentator, we are a bottom caste folk. So I mean, if anything, the coronavirus has sort of exposed how little the needle has moved for Black people, and just how much we live in uh, a society that's just disproportionately like unfair. Not that it has not been that before, but with the coronavirus, I mean, it's just truly the haves and the have-nots. And it's just like what Dr. Vibe said. This is generational, so it's affecting everybody, right? I mean, no one's immune to it, right? But at the same time, but certain people may be more susceptible to it, and unfortunately, again, as I said earlier, Black folks who have pre-existing conditions, we're going to be the most susceptible to it. I was talking with my lady, and we were talking about how in San Francisco, the group that has been affected the most has been the Hispanic population here, and excuse me. And one of the reasons for that, she believes, is because a lot of people live amongst each other, and so there really is no social distancing there. Also, the fact that, again, like Black people, they don't have access to medical care. So, the coronavirus has sort of expanded this sort of inequity conversation. Galen made a great point about pivoting. I think that when the second wave, like I don't know, man. Like I think that we need to start really investing in things that or positions, jobs, incomes that we can do remotely.
Yeah.
Because yeah, man. It's like, yo, like, Dr. Vibe. I mean, Galen, like, I'm pretty sure, you guys are doing webinars and seminars, and it's just that when those manufacturing jobs go away, I mean, this is only accelerated, right? Because I mean, we knew at the end of the day, the factory was going to be closing. Like the plant's going to be moving overseas. It's just that the COVID-19 has accelerated that plan, 5-10 years. You know what I mean? So
I want to just piggyback on that on two fronts. First of all, I agree. The webinar front, like for many years, I've been doing online stuff,
right,
and you wouldn't believe how many organizations have come to me because they don't know how to do it. And I say, well, I'm here to shortcut the
right,
shortcut. Even to the other a gentleman who's a part of the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce was talking to me saying, "Hey, we want to do a whole day conference," and he was showing me this software that to run a virtual online conference. It even has tables and things on the map, and saying, we want you to do this for us. One, we are talking about a certain segment, but the segment I'm really concerned about are the black jobs, blue collar.
Yeah.
Those I think are going to have that's where I'm as much concerned. The ones that work in a factory, they may not see their jobs again. That is a population that, from my point, I don't think your administration really cares that much about, because they don't vote for them, so they don't care about it, right? They're more concerned, in my opinion, about how the stock market's doing, which is another conversation itself, because the stock market could be going up, but for 30 million people that don't have their jobs, that don't mean
right.
I agree.
Yeah. And something you said, LeRon, about I think it was LeRon, it could have been Dr. Vibe, that talked about finding those jobs that you can do and those careers that you can do online, and that is the future, right? That's
absolutely
that's the difference maker. I've got two businesses.
Damn.
One business is a retail business where there's a physical location.
Sure.
It's self-serve. People are going to be, the old model is people are coming in, they're sampling their own stuff.
Right. Yeah.
They're coming up. It's about social. It's about people getting together. That's what that business model is. And there's some modifications I'm going to have to do, because that business won't come back exactly the same way.
Right.
The other business that I have is in executive coaching and consulting firm, Kill Global Coaching and Consulting. And that business is taking off, and it's taking off from a global perspective. I've got a handful of clients right now that aren't even in the United States. I've got one who's in Sweden. I've got a client I'm working with someone who's in Paris. I've got someone who's in Dubai. I've got someone who's in Venezuela. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a global brainstorming session.
That's awesome, man.
Thursday, for leaders around the world, to help them think through the people element of their recovery strategy. And it's an intimate conversation. We've limited it only to 10 executives, but 5 of those executives are in Europe. 5 of those executives are in US. And that's the kind of leverage that you have when you step into a global digital online platform, as opposed to on my retail business, where I'm nailed to a location. I'm nailed to the physicality of what I got to do.
So, gentlemen, I know both of you have to go. So what I'm going to ask is closing comments, and also Galen, definitely provide information, because I've signed up for that next week. But any parting comments and where people can get in touch with you. So Galen first.
Yeah. So my contact information is, you can definitely go to www.galenbingham.com to see my website. Go to killglobalcoaching.com, and Kill is KILN, globalcoaching.com. That's how you can get a hold of me. And we've got 2 events, but the one that you can sign up for is you can go to Eventbrite and go to EI Coaching Network.com. EI Coaching Network with an Eventbrite, and you're going to sign up for an emotional intelligence coaching seminar. It's a 3-day seminar for an hour a day on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of next week. We're only going to take an hour, but you're going to hear from not only me, but I'm partnering with 8 other coaches we are all steeped in emotional intelligence. We're all going through the Goldman Emotional Intelligence Program. And not only are we offering this program, but there's going to be a treat at the end where you could sign up for an hour of free coaching with any of the coaches of your choice. We came up with this idea and expected to only have 40 people register. We had to shut down the actual list and create a waiting list, because right now we've got 140
That's solid, Jack.
registered for the program. So definitely get in. It's definitely going to be worth an hour of your day.
I'll just add on 2 things. Testimonial. I've been with Galen during one of his sessions, and he worked me and he stretched me, but man,
That's what's
was it
up,
a
man.
great
That's,
time.
that's awesome.
And second of all, if you want his coaching services, you got to go through me first. So
he's the middleman.
So we got to. Now I'm the middleman for a reason, and it's not financial either. For a reason, it's because of friendship, and I'll put it out there. Galen wants the right people, and
security screen him.
Galen knows that.
Security screen him.
Right. Galen and I are in alignment, and I want to do the best I can for him. So one of the best ways I can serve him is have him get the right people, because he will work the right people, and he makes a guarantee to get you where you need to go. LeRon Barton, last words, and
I just want everyone to really stay safe and take care. Wear your face mask when you go out in public. Wear gloves if you can, but understand that is not a substitute for staying at home. I mean, you're being out in public, so you're still susceptible to contracting the virus. You can find me at www.leronbarton.com. I'm on Twitter at mainline LeRon. I'm on Instagram, LeRon L. Barton. I just did a talk for this wonderful organization called Speakers Who Dare. It's called The Talk, What Black Parents Tell Their Kids. It's on YouTube. Guys, please check it out. I think it's really good. And, once again, Dr. Bob, thank you so much for having me on your show. I've had a great time. Galen, so good to see you. Dude, when this is over, I'm going to have to come to Lou to check out your spot. I don't want to, you didn't tell people what it is, but I just thought about it. I put two and two together, and I was like, I know what it is. so you're good on you. But you guys, this has always been a great time. So.
All right. Well, again, thanks, gentlemen, for helping it make an epic conversation. I also want to thank Dr. Tachi for stopping by. There were also a few people on Facebook, Christine, Laura, Sebastian, and some other people that jumped in. I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, 2018 award winner in the innovation category given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and just recently, co-host and co-producer of monthly online fatherhood chats for dads, sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. Like to say in closing out, live your life as a dream. If you can dream and you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. And something I heard in a TEDx video I watched yesterday, since I don't know if you heard, Galen, but LeRon is doing another TEDx, by the way.
Cool, man.
I love hanging out with cool people, man.
That's what's up, man. Thank you so much, man.
And one of the lines that this young, and actually, hopefully I can share the video with you, gentlemen. He said, positive attitude and proper perspective equal power.
I like that.
God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and stay safe, everybody, and walk good. Bye-bye.